Benjamin Franklin used to say that the things which hurt instruct us. Therefore, today I am going to talk about obstacles, how Demosthenes overcame his stuttering to become a great public speaker in Athens, what Thomas Edison did when the factory he built with a lifetime of effort burned to ashes, and what is the one thing NASA teaches its astronauts before sending them into space that can also be very helpful to you in your day-to-day life. Today I am going to answer all these questions by discussing Ryan Holiday's best-selling book, The Obstacle is the Way, explaining how some of the world's greatest personalities turned the obstacles in their path into advantages. In 1966, America's famous boxer, Reuben Carter, was wrongly accused of a triple murder and imprisoned for crimes he did not commit. Then Reuben Carter, instead of giving up like others, maintained mental toughness and started reading books on history and philosophy in prison to free himself. After almost 20 years, he proved the charges against him were false and managed to get himself released from prison. After coming out, Reuben Carter chose to continue his life rather than demand an apology from the court or tell the world about the injustice he faced. He believed that people can take everything from you, but they can never take away your thoughts, your beliefs, your reactions, and your perspective towards the situation, meaning you can never be completely powerless. From Nelson Mandela to Malcolm X, many great individuals use prison as a workshop and transform themselves before coming out, because they had control over their beliefs and perceptions, and they believed that we can never be completely powerless. So no matter how bad the situation you are in, if you want to convert that obstacle into an advantage, remember the first point. You are never powerless. When NASA trains its astronauts to send them into space, the first skill they are taught is the art of not panicking. Because when people panic, they make mistakes. They forget procedures and rules and just start reacting, which in space is equivalent to death. John Glenn, who was the first American astronaut to orbit the Earth, managed to keep his heart rate below 100 beats per minute. He was able to do this because he didn't panic and kept control over his emotions. Your emotions don't allow you to see problems clearly. That's why you often have more solutions for others' problems than for your own, dirty thinking they should do this or that. Because you are not emotionally involved in others' problems, you can see the problems clearly and come up with the best solutions. To clearly see and solve your own problems, think about what advice you would give to another person if they had the same problem, and then follow that advice yourself. Here's an example of this. When Thomas Edison's factory, which he had built with years of hard work, caught fire, at the age of 70, he immediately went to his factory, and instead of running around and panicking, he told the people standing nearby to bring their wives and children. They would have never seen such a fire show in their lives. Thomas Edison was not crazy, but he knew that panicking would not help because the damage that was to happen had already occurred, and crying over it would not change anything. So, at that moment, he did what was within his control and immediately started the recovery work on the factory the next day. By the following year, after that incident, he generated a revenue of $10 million from that company. In your life, obstacles are mainly of two types. 1. Internal obstacles, meaning those you have control over, and 2. External obstacles, meaning those you do not have control over. You should understand that you cannot control everything, such as the weather, disasters, or the economy. You can control yourself or over others' emotions and their judgments, etc. Therefore, control the things you can control and manage your response to the things you cannot control. That is, point number 2, don't panic and focus on what can be controlled. Point number 3 is follow the process. American football coach Nick Saban teaches his players to follow the process. He tells his players to forget about winning the championship, forget about defeating the other team. Just focus entirely on the process of playing. Pay attention to every single move in the game and practice, which will lead to winning the championship, defeating the other team, and moving towards your goal. Everything will complete itself automatically. By following the process, even those who couldn't speak properly, they became Demosthenes, the great orator of Athens. Demosthenes devised a process for himself to overcome his speaking skills, and dedicated himself to following that process, which included rigorous exercises, like delivering speeches while climbing stairs, maintaining his voice even in strong winds, and many other practices that we can't even imagine. To educate himself, Demosthenes prepared an underground room in his house, and started reading speeches and books to ensure he spent as much time as possible following his process. He made a weird but powerful decision. He shaved half of his head, leaving hair on only one side, so he wouldn't feel like going out and wasting time. And instead, he kept practicing. By following this process, he soon transformed from a person struggling with speech into a master speaker, astonishing people with his powerful expression, strong voice, and unique speaking style. It was by following a similar process that Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. In the 70s, besides Thomas Edison, many other inventors were also working on creating a light bulb. However, only Edison succeeded in making the bulb because he followed the process. To create the bulb, he tested more than 6,000 materials for filaments, step by step, meaning he followed the process of material variation, and only then did he achieve success. Meanwhile, no other inventor followed such an extensive process or tried so many materials. The point is to forget about the long path of your work and just follow the process that helps you move forward on that path, because any problem can be solved by following some process. Point number 4 is be prepared for the worst. The world can bring you down, it can break your heart, but if you are prepared for it in advance, it won't hurt you as much. For this, only a small percentage of people in the world use a technique designed by decision-making research psychologist Gary Klein called pre-mortem. You might know this word, but you may have never used it in real life. To go into a bit more detail, just like a post-mortem is conducted after someone's death to determine the actual reason for their death, we need to reverse this concept. Whenever you make an important decision, promote it, meaning define the reasons why your project or decision might fail. A person who is prepared for the best outcome and ready for the situation cannot be emotionally restricted, and that person can make better decisions and easily find solutions. Now, if I summarize all the things I learned from this book, no one can take away your lips and your perspective on things, meaning you can never be completely powerless. Second, instead of panicking during bad times, think about what is within your control and control those things. And for things that are not under your control, manage your response to them. Third is to successfully complete any difficult task, follow its process, like Demosthenes and Thomas Edison did. And lastly, the fourth point is prepare for the worst case scenario by promoting any of your important decisions, which will become your strength in the future. I learned all these techniques from Ryan Holiday's best-selling book. In an optimal, easy way, it teaches insights on converting adversity into advantage. This book contains many more side stories and incidents that show us how the world's great personalities converted obstacles into advantages, and how you can use that technique in your daily life. I really liked this book. If you also want to read this book, I have provided the link in the description. Thank you.